Y'all, we are here again. I went to Guatemala. 2 weeks ago. I was in there. The whole reason we went to Guatemala is to host a media camp. Whenever we host these media camps, we don't just teach how to use media for church. We also bring stuff with us so that they have their own studio to produce this content and to use. We never really know what these people know until we get there. We've already formulated the PowerPoints, and we actually created a notes packet this time for them to take notes during the classes, which I think was really fun and nice. The first night was the most special night of the media camp. I think it was actually our third or fourth day there. But the first night of the media camp, when everyone has come, we had a church service, and the opening ceremony of the North Central Communications building. This camp was hosted on the grounds of a seminary that is now online. So there was housing there was cafeteria, there was a chapel, there was a church, there was like the people who work there, so there were some houses for those people, and then there was a communications building that had not been used for so long. So Ugo actually had been working on that for 2 weeks before we came. He redid drywall, he cleaned up the place, he painted, he redid flooring maybe. There were doors for the audio area that went into each other so that it would block out sound. There was some soundproofing. There was some lights and walls for the video area. This place was more than I ever thought, because the other two places, it was just a room. In Europe, it was a church that we were at, so it wasn't a specific place that was already built out or was seriously built out. So it was amazing. The opening ceremony, to see everyone's excitement, to see everyone's tears, to see everyone with their Facebook Live or just recording so that they can share this, was so beautiful, so touching. And hearing Ugo and everything that he did, and Carlos showing these are the youngest kids from the different countries that were at the camp. And he's like, this is the future. This is why we're doing this, so that they have a place to spread the gospel. And just hearing everything that people went through and hearing how people chose God, chose Jesus over other things, was emotional. After that, we had dinner and we got to sit and talk to everyone. We got name tags that had colors, and so the colors were our groups. So then every morning after that, we were up at 6 a.m. and out the door at 6:30 a.m. so that we could have devotional time with our groups, which was a beautiful time to actually sit down. There was 2 of us from Olivet per group, so we had 8 people total. So there's 4 groups, 4 different colors, and we just got to gather in the morning. It was peaceful. It was a beautiful time to connect with them, and I just really love that. And I love being in a place and being around people who put Jesus at the center of their life and know that without him they wouldn't be where they're at. There was one morning where it didn't fully happen because it had poured rain the night before, and apparently there's a thing when it pours rain, people end up not waking up when they should, or they end up sleeping more, I don't know, something. Each day we had the morning session of classes and the after lunch session of classes. What we ended up doing was we would have 2 classes happening at once for both the morning and the evening. You had 2 groups. So the groups were split in half, and then they would switch. So you taught the class twice, which was pretty cool and different than we've done in the past. We'd taught. We had the PowerPoint, we had people taking notes, and then we had a translator so that they knew what we were saying. For the food, breakfast and dinner often had eggs and beans. Like 98% of the time had eggs and beans and tortillas and sweet bread. Pan dulce. So good. And it's not like, it had like little icing on top, not like what we have here. It was delicious. So it always had that. Lunch was usually something different. We had chicken, we had like grilled chicken, we had a more traditional dish that like had a gourd and carrots and potato and tomatillo. It's like what goes in a tamale, but it was like by itself, so you could dip it in, and then it had like the pork soup mixture, which was great. Mealtime was always a time of talking, getting to know everyone, and for me, I often was listening. This time, my Spanish has improved from Paraguay. It's still not completely conversational, but I did and was able to have some basic conversation, so I was really happy. But I definitely just had my ears tuned to listen to everyone and listen to what I hear. And then sometimes we had a Google Translate matrix or whatever where all of us had Google Translate and we were typing or speaking and responding to other people, so then you just show it and then you would whatever, and it was fun. It's just great to be with people who are like-minded and who have similar goals, or people who are like further along than you. There were doctors there were people who have created movies or who make songs. Having church every night was also a beautiful time to just connect to God and remember why we're there. Give a time of worship, a time of prayer, and a time of hearing scripture and hearing other people's stories. My favorite part, without a doubt, had to be our last full day of the camp. In the morning, we had 2 classes, which were more like, I think we call them like practicums, but it's where they're actually doing stuff, they're hands-on. So we had a podcast going on. So in the first podcast class, they learned about podcasting and then they were given an assignment. And so now in this podcast, we were in the studio that we brought microphones for, that Ugo had set up and made really nice, and we had moved furniture and built chairs, and we got to hear them in their 10-minute podcast episodes. So they picked a title for their podcast, a name, and then they picked a title of their episode. Then they got to talk. We had 4 microphones and they were all able to sit around the desk, the table, and they got to do their podcast. And then we had video narrative. We had another class, it was for video. Then we were in the video studio. They had a few more notes, and then they were given the assignment to get into 3 groups. They were making a TV show. An interview had to happen. They had to do some sort of like game show. Then I think they got to be creative with the 3rd. Essentially, they were creating a TV show. They got to work the cameras, work the lights, and someone was like the host, and then other people were on the show, and then people wrote it, and it was so beautiful to see them actually doing the stuff and being hands-on and getting to create what they've learned so far. So in other classes gave them assignments they turned in, and the next day would end up getting paper plate awards, but I'm getting ahead of myself. After those classes, we had lunch, and then we had wacky games. Now, we've had wacky games on the other trips, but I feel like each trip I've gotten more free and enjoyed myself more and have been less stressed. I completely was like, let me take part in this. We had some fun games. We had mosquito tag. We had some sort of pool noodle thing where you had to like run in a circle and like catch the pool noodle before it falls, catch the balloon, dodgeball. We had some sort of football, wrestling, dish soap thing, but it was a lot of fun being outside, getting wet, getting to like hear people laugh, have fun. Oh, the best game, okay? The floor is lava. Now, Brian set up the story. The volcano erupted. All of the grass is lava. You have 4 paper plates, which are like your rocks that you can step on to get across. But you were in a group of 5, and you had to hold on to each other. You could not let go, and you also could not step into the lava or like fall into the lava. If your hand touched the lava, you're out, and you had to start over. First round, I think everyone was still trying to figure it out. The second round, man, people are getting called out. We're having to go back to the beginning, and we're trying to like speed, so we've done it once, and so we know what works and how to do it and how to space. It was the most fun. And just having teamwork, and even though I didn't speak the language, not everything was being able to communicate in words. We still were able to figure it out, and my team ended up winning the second round, and it was amazing. I had so much fun with that. After Wacky Games, we got cleaned up, we had dinner, and then we had a shorter church service and just had a time of worship, a little bit of speaking. Now it's time for the campfire. Got to do some team building games. We got to glorify the Lord, enjoy some marshmallows. We said some of our goodbyes. We stayed up late. I think we were out, well, some of us were out till like 12:30 a.m. It was just a beautiful time. This day was so special, and Ugo was like, I really want you guys to remember this camp, and he wanted it to go out with a bang, and he wanted it to be intentional. We were told the day before that every country had to prepare 2 songs to sing around the campfire.
Y al hermano que toque bendito será, y al hermano que toque bendito será, mi mano está llena de su bendición. Última parte. Su amor es un regalo, que gracias se recibe. Quiero conocer a Jesús. Quiero conocer a Jesús. Gozo